Welcome to Hustle and Pro. I'm your host, Kelly Walker. Today we are talking to Grace McDowell of Frisco ISD for episode 161 of Hustle and Pro. Thanks so much for sitting down with me.
Thanks for asking. I appreciate it, Kelly.
I know you're busy. I know you have a lot to do, and we're going to talk about the scope of what that is in a minute, but I do appreciate your time because I know that it's valuable, and so I'm excited to be here. We're in your office, and just kind of learn. I want our audience to hear from you because there's so many cool things happening in the sports world and FISD, and so I just want them to know who you are and what's going on here from your own words.
Sure.
Okay, so let's start with, so I mentioned you're the athletic director for Frisco ISD. So I know you're not, new here. So how long have you been in this role versus with Frisco ISD?
Well, this is just my second year in this role, which is, it's nice to be in year two, having a year under my belt.
Yeah.
But it's my 21st year in Frisco.
Wow. Okay.
So
I knew that you weren't, new to Frisco. So I feel that is a really common theme, that people are here a really long time, right? Especially in admin. And as people they get promoted and stay here and work their way up. But as I get to know more people in the district, they've all been here double digits, teens, 20 years. And it's really impressive, and it says a lot about the staying power and people wanting to be here. So before you were AD 2 years ago, what all did you do here? Because I feel like you did a lot, right?
Yes. So we moved here in 2002, my husband and my daughter and myself, and really came here because of the education system, and visited Staley Middle School, had some other friends that had transplanted here from Houston. We were actually in Arkansas at the time, and came for a visit and just loved the city, loved the school district and what it had to offer our kid. At the time, I was coaching college basketball, and it was really difficult just with the hours and stuff, and was ready to make a change. And so took a position at Staley Middle School to start, and coached middle school, 7th grade and 8th grade for a couple of years, and then moved up to Frisco High School as an assistant coach, and then moved up to varsity assistant over at Centennial High School. From there, I opened Liberty High School as the assistant coordinator and head basketball coach, and then was there for 4 years.
That is a lot. So, okay, when you talk about Frisco High,
right.
was that the only school still? And you opened, you might not have opened Centennial, but it was back when there were just those few, if not only one.
Right. In 2002, when I came here, we had Frisco High School was the only high school. Okay. And then we just opened two middle schools, so we had 4 total at the time. Okay. So we just opened Wester and Pioneer. So it's been a while. Yeah.
So you have seen a lot, and I do want to talk about that too, a lot about that. But I also want to talk about, before we move on from, you're kind of new in this role, like what shoes you filled and who you took over for. I mean, we're sitting here looking out at Kukendall Stadium, right? And so talk to me about taking over for him. I don't know him, so I don't want to speak for him, but I just would love to hear in your own words, like, that journey and what that means.
Yes. So, I was very fortunate to have Coach Kukendall, or Coach K, as a mentor.
Did I say his name wrong?
Just a little bit.
Oh no!
But you know what?
Correct me, because I want to get it right.
It's said Kirkendall with an R, but there's not an R in it.
I say Kukendall. Okay, Kirkendall.
Well, most people say Kikendall, so you did
close.
Yeah, you were closer.
I want to get it right. So Kirkendall?
Kirkendall.
Okay, I got it. I'm writing it down because I don't want to say that wrong in the future. Okay, sorry to interrupt.
No, it's okay.
Go ahead.
It's okay. So Coach Kirkendall is the one that hired me over at Staley. I interviewed with him first in the district, and from there, I just developed a relationship with him, and would go to him when I needed career advice or whatever it was. And he was just someone that always encouraged me and gave me the opportunity to become the head basketball coach and assistant coordinator over at Liberty. And then I came to him and said, man, I really like this leadership thing. I love leading coaches and supporting coaches. And I said, I'd like to be an assistant AD someday. And he hired me a few years later to do that. Yeah. And empowered me to learn and grow in that role and prepare me for this position. So
great.
He's iconic. I mean, he is the reason why athletics has been so strong in Frisco ISD, and he's built such a positive, great culture among the coaches. So we owe him a lot, which is why we named the stadium after him. That's right.
Yeah, I love it. And now I'll say it right from now on. So then when you come in and fill those shoes, you're probably not driven to rehash, make big changes. You're just continuing that strong legacy that has already been started for you, right?
Absolutely. Just moving us forward in the future, and updating some things that we're doing. But as far as just the culture, just trying to maintain that and just enhance it, if anything. He's built a great foundation and has hired a lot of great leaders on our campuses, which makes my job a lot easier. So I've been very fortunate.
Yes. Okay, I always want to talk to guests about kind of this, take a step back and look at the big picture journey. Mm-hmm. Whether I'm talking to a high school athlete, a pro athlete, a former athlete, whatever, I like to just sort of know what that looks like in the big picture. So for you, you're someone who, I heard you say you coached college level, obviously high school level, middle school level, and now you're in a leadership role, an administrative level of sports. So go backwards though. Were you an athlete as a kid and you played all the sports also?
Well, I started out, my father was in the Army, and he was a drill sergeant, actually. Okay. And on the weekends, he spent a lot of his time getting into shape because he had to be in better shape than his soldiers. And so I begged to go run with him. Okay. And that's how I really started. And he took me to some road races and some little fun runs, and that was my first experience with competition athletically. And from there, I started playing basketball, and that was really my two sports, was track and field and basketball. Mm-hmm.
Okay, very good. So you played basketball. Did you play in college?
I did. I played at Lyon College in NAI school in Arkansas.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you played all through going up in high school, college, and then after college, you probably shortly thereafter went ahead and started coaching. That was your job right after college, or did it take a while for that to connect?
When I had a great mentor in college that was one of my college professors that really inspired me to think I wanted to be a college professor. So I went to University of Houston and became a TA there, and was pursuing my doctorate, decided to just get the master's degree at that time. And I just started missing. Yeah, well, I started missing sports in that first semester out of it, and I was just like, golly, I miss being an athlete. I miss being around athletics, and so I went and begged for a graduate assistant job with the women's basketball program at University of Houston, and that was officially my first coaching, I guess, gig. Although I didn't get to coach much, I was more of just a helper. But
serving and helping and learning. I bet you learned a lot.
Oh, it was
so sometimes fantastic. It takes being away from it to realize you really do want to be in it.
Yeah.
So that's interesting. I love it though. And then it stuck, and here we are. And
that's right.
Now you're running this monster big district that we've grown into now. So I want to talk about that for a second. When we think of this scale. So I'm a parent of an FISD student, and I know I'm used to this big, 60,000 student life that we have here. That's kind of what we're used to as a kind of a new parent to the district. 12 years. But you seeing the journey. So just kind of tell us the scope of numbers that we're looking at today. When we talk about from the athletics lens.
Okay, well, we have around 12,000 athletes in our school system. We have 17 middle schools, 12 high schools, having just opened our 12th high school this year. And we're approaching 640 coaches. So it's an incredible number. When I first got here in Frisco in 2002, it didn't take long to get to know all the coaches. Everyone knew everyone.
Sure.
And now it's an impossible task. There's just so many.
640 coaches that's a staff. That's lots of staffs all in one. So I can imagine that's a lot to manage. And I want to talk more about those numbers. We're going to take a quick break, but when we come back, I want to talk more about what that looks like and how you manage that and some challenges and what are the good things that come out of having such a big program also. So we're going to take a quick break, hear from a sponsor. We'll be right back with Grace McDowell with Frisco ISD.
Player to Player matches elite high school athletes with younger, aspiring athletes through 1 hour private lessons, semi-private lessons, and camps and clinics. Learn more at playertoplayer.com. That's player, 2, player.com.
This episode is sponsored by Tumbleweed Textiles. Tumbleweed Textiles t-shirts, hats, tanks, sweatshirts, collared shirts, plus houseware items, and so much more are authentically Texan. Their unique designs are hand-drawn and inspired by Texas music, history, food, and fun. Find the latest from Tumbleweed Textiles online at shoptwt.com, or better yet, visit the Tumbleweed Textiles flagship store in the heart of the Rail District on Main Street in Frisco, Texas. And now, back to the show.
We're back with Hustle and Pro, talking to Grace McDowell, the athletic director at Frisco ISD. We were talking about this big district, and so I know that's hard. Like you mentioned, the big coaching staff. So what are some of the things that are challenges that you see and your team sees? Because I'm sure, it's not just you. You've probably got a huge team that helps you manage. So what are some of the things that you guys are up against being such a huge district?
I think one of the biggest things that we focus on, and it would be a challenge as well, is just maintaining that culture that we want to have among our coaches, because we're constantly hiring new coaches and just trying to maintain that positive culture and focus on the things that we want to focus on as an athletic department is something we really put a lot of attention and effort and intentionality into. So that would be one.
So that it doesn't get diluted in the culture, like that.
Right.
All the new hires come on, don't lose all the values that you want to instill from the top down.
Absolutely.
So I want to talk about some of those things, but give me like one example. Are you talking like? I have a feeling you're not talking about like hands-on coaching tactics, right? You're talking like bigger picture things and how we are developing students on and off of the playing.
Absolutely. We all want to be successful and win. With 12 high schools, you're not going to have 12 state champions in football. You're not going to have 12 state champions in swimming. So success is great, but really and that's always our goal. We want to win, but our purpose is much bigger than that, and it's about developing students and their character and also as leaders. And so we need people that are of high character and integrity, and people that are going to focus on the same things and believe in that purpose of educational athletics as well. And so making sure we hire the right people and that we make sure that we're all on the same page and moving in that direction is definitely our focus.
Yeah. Are there any other challenges you wanted to mention? I know you were about to say something else before I interrupted you.
Oh, just just the scale of everything, the systems,
logistics. And
yes, just paying officials or ticketing or that kind of stuff is massive.
Oh my gosh, ticketing and the legit, to me, I imagine, I don't even know if this has to fall under you, but I'm amazed at, just pick one thing, high school football. All the places that they're played, all the nights that they're played, right? Because right now we're recording in September, and so we're in the thick of almost every night of the week. It feels like there is some level of Frisco football being played.
5 nights a week.
Right?
5 nights a week.
9th, junior, maybe varsity, whatever. And it's not like they're just always at this school or whatever. You're juggling, is it 3 venues besides Kirkendall, the Star, Toyota, for varsity?
Right.
Home. And then JV plays mostly at high schools, or no?
That's correct. And middle schools play at high schools as well.
So the logistics, just that one piece of slice of one sport alone sounds crazy. Yeah. And then, then you're in volleyball season at the same time, and then your gyms are being used every day, all the time, it feels like, with all the different volleyball we have going on. And that's just the first season of the school year. So that sounds like a lot of people having to work on that.
That's
all the
right.
time,
It's
nonstop.
important to have a great team, which I'm very fortunate. I have 3 great assistants that support the athletics, and really they do a lot of that work that you're talking about. And then our office staff is incredible. I mean, some of them have been here for the last 20 years, and so they've seen the growth, and they've been a part of trying to develop those systems, and so that's been huge.
That might be the answer to my next question, because then I'm wondering, what are we really good at? And so I know that has to be a big part of it, where you have the continuity of staff, where they're not showing up one day and going, oh my gosh, we have 640 coaches, we got to manage all these schedules. They have adapted as the years have gone, and they've seen it, and they know, oh, well, this is what we did 5 years ago, and when we added these, and in this campus, and they've probably been able to really go with the flow really well. So, I mean, if that's not the best thing, what are the other things that we're good at here?
What we're good at?
Yeah, I don't know.
My goodness.
What you feel your department as AD, what are you most proud of?
What am I proud of? Oh gosh, so many things.
I know.
We talked about success, which we have had, and the fact that we've been able to grow into 12 high schools and still We had 11 sate championship teams in the last 5 years. And 11.
Wow.
And so
I know
across
we hear
different
soccer
sports.
and swimming, and because I've interviewed a lot of Wakeland student athletes, and football, no.
Not yet.
Yeah, I didn't think football,
Not
but
yet.
so many sports.
Girls basketball.
Yeah, there's so many. I mean, so I didn't know 11 though. That's that's amazing.
Just in the past 5 years. Yes, yes. And so, in the beginning, back in the day when they first decided to start building all these schools and keeping the schools a little smaller, it was always a fear that we wouldn't have that success. And I think we've went the opposite direction. We've had more success than ever. So.
Well, it's sure that we've built more successful athletes with all of the schools rather than a fewer bigger schools, right? That is the point, is that more student athletes get the chance to be student athletes when you have all these campuses to do that on.
Yeah, and when you talk about our athletes, we've got phenomenal kids. And this past year we had over 150 sign with a college scholarship or a letter of intent. That's an incredible number, that we're very proud of that. But I think what we're most proud of is really just what we stand for and the values that we have. And again, our purpose, it comes back to trying to grow our kids, because only 150, right? I mean, that's 600 athletes out of the 12,000 that we've got that are might be a college athlete someday. So that's a small percentage. Yeah. The rest of them, though, the rest of them can, are going to take the lessons they learn and apply it in their everyday lives, and hopefully be, better citizens and mom and dads and mothers and fathers, or sisters and brothers or whatever, and just better people.
Well, people like me who played sports through high school and never thought about college, whatever, intramurals, but not like playing in college like you. There's a lot of us that carry that through what we do for work, right? Like I work in sports, and besides this, I work with a lot of these student athletes that we're talking about, and have built it into my life, and it's my family's life and the way that I live. So yes, I agree that there is room for more to go play in college, but it impacts even the ones that don't and never even strive to play in college. Like there are probably so many that it'll impact their whole life, all the lessons that they've learned. The structure, just like how you got into it with the competitive nature, the diligence, with the drill sergeant dad, like that was built into your life and the competitive piece. So you probably built that into just naturally your family's life.
Right.
And I don't know if your kiddo is an athlete. Did we talk about that?
She did play sports all through middle school and high school until her junior year.
Yeah.
And she was an athletic trainer.
Okay.
And she wants to be a physical therapist and work with athletes.
Same thing. It's that connection.
Yeah.
It keeps going. If you really love the sports part of it, it does keep going. I truly do believe that. So you said 150 kids. Wow. Okay. I didn't realize that number. I've been to a signing day, but I didn't know final numbers on that. And so you also talked about your purpose, developing students and character and developing leaders. So do you guys as a district have programs that you try to instill where all coaches are on the same page about certain things, or does each campus and each campus, what are they called? Are they called ADs at each campus also?
Campus coordinators.
Campus coordinators. I've had Coach Rudd on here before from Reedy Volleyball.
Right.
I couldn't remember her title. But do you leave it up to them, and she built the Liberty program first, right, to get these character developing programs, or is it like a district initiative?
That's a good question. So kind of both would be the answer to that. So we do have 2 words, character development. It's a curriculum online that's available to every single middle school and high school coach to use with their programs.
Okay.
And the expectation is that every single program in our district utilizes some type of intentional character development piece or program of their choice, but we have that as a backup, and that's available to all of them.
So you give them a menu of options
where
they can go.
It is a menu, yes. But we want them to be intentional and not just assume it's going to happen, and we need them to be able to show us what they're doing.
Right? Things get busy and life takes over, and so if they don't build it into their program, it doesn't naturally just happen. I always wonder that with new schools, how do you build these cultures? But that's how, I guess, right? That intentional thing, when you open. So Emerson's open, but Panther Creek, and when you start the programs, right, you have to loop them into those resources and say, build this into your program.
Right.
It doesn't happen overnight,
Well,
but it doesn't happen accidentally.
Yes, and the most important thing we do at those new campuses is our hiring. It's hiring the right people to get our program started.
Is it typically bringing somebody that's in the district already that gets it, and you're moving them from a campus? Is that the ideal situation? Or not the whole staff, but
right.
you know?
I mean, ideally, I think a combination of inside and outside candidates.
Yeah.
Right. We have Coach Miller over at Emerson right now, who leads our athletic program over there. He's phenomenal with culture, and he is not a original Frisco ISD person. He came from Garland, but he's fantastic. And then we have Coach Surratt, who we just hired over at Panther Creek, and he's phenomenal with culture as well. But he came from Lone Star, so it's a mix. It's just finding the right people.
Right.
Yeah.
So it's funny. The last note I had here was to ask you about the Texas High School Coaches Association naming an Emerson coach or someone in Emerson as the new, I think, president, if that's the title.
He's the president.
Is that who you were just talking about?
Yes.
Oh my gosh.
Kendall Miller. So yeah, it's really a historical deal too, because he's actually the first African American to ever be named as a president. So it's history making, and we're so excited to have him in Emerson and in Frisco ISD.
Yeah. I saw that. I was reading about it, and I thought, wait, this is us. You're not used to. So I'm involved with Texas High School Coaches Association with my day job, and so looking at the roster for the summer program, you see a lot of all the other districts around here. You see a lot of Frisco names on there, but you don't see Emerson yet much. And so I saw them on there speaking a few times, and then the announcement, I thought, that is a huge deal.
It is a big deal.
Our newest athletic program really has this leader of the whole Texas Coaching Association. So he must be pretty impressive.
He is. He's, and I could say that about every one of our guys that are leading our programs at each high school. But yeah, we're lucky to have him. He's phenomenal.
That's awesome. I'm excited to watch that story and hear from him. I haven't heard from him, so maybe one day I'll ask him. Once he's settled in, I'll ask him to come talk to us. Awesome. Well, that's really all I wanted to hear. I mean, actually, I have a ton more that I could talk to you about, because I've heard you speak to students and to parents. The FISD Insight program that I was a part of last year, which I encourage anybody to go apply for, because you learned so much about what's going on in the district, not just athletics. That's one meeting, but you learned so much. So I got to hear Grace talk to us at one of those meetings, and just wanted to hear more. And so I wanted actually my audience to hear the basics and more. So I really appreciate your time.
Yeah,
and
thank you again.
to us. Yeah.
This is great.
It was exciting to talk to you and meet you. And like I said, we're in the middle of probably one of your busiest sports seasons with football and volleyball and all the overlapping happening right now. So it's exciting. It's a Friday, and there's a lot of football.
It is Friday.
There's volleyball and football tonight. I know.
First weekend of district play in volleyball and football, so we're excited.
There's an energy. There's something in the air right now. There's an energy here in Frisco sports, so it's exciting. So thank you for your time.
Thank you.
It was nice talking to you. And thank you guys for listening to this episode or watching on YouTube to this episode of Hustle and Pro. If you don't subscribe already, go ahead and subscribe on YouTube so you'll get notifications for the next episode, and follow us on Instagram at Hustle and Pro. Thanks. We'll see you next time.